Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Fast Frame. I haven't told you about these guys in a while. If you have artwork that needs framing, memorabilia that needs protecting, or jerseys and jackets that need displaying, be smart and take it to East Tennessee's #1 source for fast quality framing. Fast Frame in the Common Shopping Center on North Peters Road. They've been a part of bringing you the Sports Source low these many years. We actually launched in 2003, so 2018 will be our 16th year. Now, we're not to that anniversary point yet, but our 16th year, and Fast Frame has been there for many, many of them. Get out there and take your work to those folks. You will be very happy that you did. Okay, as I have said many times before, I get tired of the roller coaster in basketball. You're going to have, this team's probably going to have anywhere from 8 to 12 losses. That means you can't go jumping off a cliff after every one of them. So I wanted to look at how can we break the schedule down in such a way that we're checking on it big picture. So we came up with the wall of hoops, which we can go to right now, and what you see, Tennessee schedule broken into 4-game clusters. They got 16 games remaining. 15 of those are in the SEC. There's one game for the Big 12 Challenge against Iowa State that's still there. Currently, they're 10-4. That's their current record. So, Mark, if you win 3 out of every 4, all right, you're looking at a 22-8 team. You're in the NCAA tournament regardless of what happens in the SEC tournament. What happens, though, what is the worst-case scenario, and we might differ on our views here, but worst-case scenario for Tennessee to still be alive heading into Nashville and the SEC tournament? What's the record got to be?
Well, I think the worst case, because of it depends who wins out, and there's a lot of the RPI, strength schedule stuff, but I think if you can go 500 down the stretch in league play, you got a chance to still make the tournament. Okay,
so if you go 500, which would be 8-8 down the stretch here, if you're putting Iowa State as a loss, then that means you finish 9-9 in the SEC, 18-12 overall. Certainly, you go into the first round of the SEC tournament and lose at 18-13, you're not going to feel great, but you're still alive, still in the chance. So let's go back to the wall here. The next 4 games, the way to read this, you got Vanderbilt and Texas A&M this week. Then you got Missouri and South Carolina. Then after that 4, it's Vanderbilt, Iowa State, LSU, Ole Miss. Then you go back up to the top. Mark, the interesting thing is anytime you see one of those ats in basketball, I think that's a concern. This team has shown it can play well on the road, but it's a long grind here. But when you look across those teams, some stand out that Rick Barnes hasn't had a great success rate with in his first couple of years.
Yeah, if you look at it, I mean, Georgia's obviously pretty good this year with Maton, but Barnes is 0-3 against Georgia right now. He's 1-3 versus South Carolina. He's 1-2 versus Ole Miss, and Ole Miss hasn't been very, very good. I think when you go back and look at it, a lot of the tougher programs I think we've struggled with, regardless of where they're at. Vanderbilt, we haven't beaten them at home. They're 2-0 against us here in our own building. We're 1-1 at their place. So
under Barnes.
Under Barnes, yeah. So some of those that you look up there, you feel like, well, that's probably going to be a win. Really, we haven't had much success versus them.
Guys, take a look at it. Everybody pick their favorite quad in terms of where does this schedule get toughest?
I think it's at upper right quad.
Upper right, early February?
It's not only 3 road games, it's 3 road games against really good teams, I think. And that's what's going to make it difficult. So, and then as Mark pointed out, against South Carolina, Tennessee hadn't had a great deal of success. So I think the upper right quad is the toughest of that.
I think the biggest one, quite honestly, I think we put ourselves in position to where if we win the games that we're supposed to win,
right,
then I think we can get in the tournament. And so I think if you look at the bottom left one, that's one where we really, 3 home games, you're playing against an okay Iowa State team. If you can go 4-0 in that stretch, I think that's a big deal.
Well, and that's also part of the trick to this. It keeps it's that big picture view. So if you want to go 3-1 and you go 2-2, all right, we'll have to make one of these games up in a later quad. It just keeps you from going off the rails. Josh, Mike, do you guys agree that the early February stretch is the roughest, or do you have another point in there?
No, I think so. I mean, how often is Kentucky winning Rupp Arena? Not very.
Does Tennessee win up there yet?
Yeah.
Josh?
Yeah, I agree. I would say maybe what's scariest, though, if you really break it down, where are you in the final 4 games? You have 2 games at Ole Miss and at Mississippi State. What if you lose both of those games there? Mississippi State's off to a really good start. And then Georgia's coming here, as Mark just talked about, they've had some success against you. So you can't slip up there. That could be the final stretch trying to make sure you secure a spot.
So we'll be keeping track of that all the rest of the season long, kind of breaking it down by quad, see how Tennessee does.
One quick thing is that the RPIs of this league helps Tennessee in that regard too.
Absolutely.
This league's RPI and Tennessee's RPI are good.
And Tennessee's strength of schedule so far. So both of those play into it. We'll keep track of the records. We'll keep track of the NCAA tournament bid process as we go in terms of that RPI and strength of schedule week after week right here on the Sports Source. When we're going to have Mark back to preview Tennessee Vanderbilt a little bit later. But next, we're going to talk about some former Vol coaches in the news. We've got our buzzers on the desk. We're going to play a little game. Come on back on the Sports Source.